If you're growing tomatoes in a climate that's scorching hot, you're seeing flower drop, your plants are just not fruiting up the way they should, this is the video for you. Hi, I'm Lucas. I've been growing tomatoes for over 12 years, and today we're going to be talking about how to grow tomatoes in the heat. With the things that we're going to talk about today, you're going to be able to still produce incredible tomatoes no matter where you live. So my first tip for you is to select varieties that are heat tolerant. I talk about this a lot in my other videos, but choosing the right varieties for your garden and your climate is just so important. There are many varieties of tomatoes out there that are naturally heat resistant. With a bit of research, you can find varieties that are meant for the heat that'll do very well in your specific climate and zone. And hey, if you're looking for some top varieties of vegetables, I curated a special free list. You can grab it through the link down below in the description. It contains some of my favorite varieties, some top performers that I've been growing in my garden over the last 12 years. If you want to go even further and learn my systems and methods to growing top produce every season from seed to harvest, you can also check out my ebook down below in the description. But let's get on with the tips. So tip number 2 is to be very strategic with your pruning and possibly don't prune at all. I see people on YouTube all the time talking about pruning off the lower leaves, pruning off all the suckers so you have single stem plants. And the truth is that when you're growing tomatoes in a hot climate, you want to keep as much leaf cover on the plants as you can. So you can see these plants right here are actually single stem for the most part, but I haven't been pruning off the lower leaves. These plants to my left over here are completely unpruned. I currently live in Ontario, Canada, so we have a kind of a shorter growing season. But if I was living in Texas or Florida or someplace down south that gets really hot weather consistently throughout the summer, I would most likely not be pruning my tomato plants at all. You can see here these plants are super bushy. We've got some really good leaf cover that's covering the fruit, shading the flowers and the fruit, and preventing them from falling off, preventing sun scald, and again, just giving you that really good shade cover throughout the season. You don't have to prune to get successful harvests. I've been growing tomatoes for years. I've had some of my best harvests from plants that I never pruned at all. So for those of you who think you have to prune, it's a myth. You do not have to prune to have great harvests. Another tip I have for you is to use shade cloth. Now this one is optional and it really depends, if you want to spend a bit of money, but you can buy shade cloth from your local garden center. And what it basically does is it just, like the name implies, it shades your plants while still allowing some light to penetrate. Because obviously your plants still need light to grow, but you just want to reduce that intensity, reduce that heat on the leaves, on the plants, and that shade cloth is going to do that for you. So this next tip might be kind of counterintuitive. I think a lot of gardeners feel that they should be watering their plants when it's hot outside. If the soil's really dry, definitely it's a good thing to do. But oftentimes, as I always say, the soil down below could still be moist. And so watering isn't necessary and it can actually weaken your plants. So you want your plants to be strong and be able to support a great load of tomatoes. In order to do that, they have to have a strong root system that's deep and that really branches out. And by watering a lot, even during heat, you're gonna train your plant that getting water is easy and that it doesn't need to work for it. So it's kind of like a rich person giving their kids a bunch of money and just letting them spend it on whatever they want, go spend time in the clubs, waste money. They're going to become weak. So you need to teach your tomato plants that, look, you have water deep down, but you need to work for it. In a sense, you're basically educating your tomato plants. They have the resources available. They just need to tap into it. So I don't know if that analogy makes much sense, but the idea is that even during heat waves, you should still water your plants only if they need the moisture. And so how do you know if the soil is dry? Well, typically what I like to do is I like to stick my finger down a few inches into the soil and just feel for moisture. Right now, the top of the soil looks pretty dry, but I can tell that these plants have enough moisture for the next few days. Train your plants to be strong because in the end, they'll be much healthier, they'll fruit more, they'll produce better, stronger, juicier tomatoes than they otherwise would if you're just throwing water on every time they look a little dry. So don't panic just because it's hot. It might be the time to water, but it also might not be. So go by the soil, not by the temperature of the air. Another thing I would recommend doing for your tomato plants in hot climates is to mulch the soil. Now in my case, I have black plastic mulch on my soil here, and that is really just to warm up that soil in the spring and the fall. Right now, I could put on some mulch, some straw, or some wood chips to cool down the soil. But the truth is, here in Ontario, we don't have a very hot climate, even if we do have a couple weeks of heat waves like we have been recently. But if you are living in a hotter climate, I would recommend putting down some wood chip mulch or some straw or something that is going to help cool the soil. Something black like black plastic mulch is going to get really warm. It's going to warm up the soil. And so my strategy might be a little different in a hotter climate. But you can always use plastic mulch and then mulch on top of that as well. So there are different options out there when it comes to mulching. Personally, I've never been a huge fan of using, like wood chips or anything like that over my tomatoes. But definitely in a hotter climate, you're going to want to reduce the soil temperature to prevent the plants from getting cooked. My final tip for this video is fertilize your tomatoes in the evening rather than in the middle of the day when it's really hot. When it's really hot in the day and you're fertilizing your tomatoes, it's basically like giving someone caffeine while they're having a heat stroke. It just doesn't really make much sense. So you want your tomatoes to be nice and calm, nice and cool in the evening. Do your fertilizing and also any sort of pruning or anything that could potentially stress out the plant. Do that stuff in the evening when your plants are cool. So I really hope that you found this video helpful. Again, my name's Lucas. I love growing tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, all types of different vegetables. And if you want to learn more, I've got tons of videos on the channel. You can check those out. You can also check out my free list, as I mentioned earlier, links down below in the description. Or if you want to get next level with it and grow gardens that will impress everyone, your neighbors, your friends, your goldfish, your dog, then you're going to want to hit up my ebook. Pretty low price. Currently, I have it sitting at $10, but I think it delivers a lot more value than that because it's over a decade of my experience put into one book that's actionable and will give you everything you need to know. I want to say thank you for watching. If it's hot outside, make sure you wear sunscreen, you wear a hat, go for a swim, stay hydrated because tomatoes need to stay cool, but you do too. I'm gonna say goodbye with this one. It's been kind of an awkward video, but I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some value from it. And I'd love to hear your questions too. So if you have any, drop them down below and we'll see how the tomatoes grow. I'm Lucas and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.